6K, 60 FPS, 4K, 120 FPS, high bitrate, 10-bit 422. So the Associated Press has decided to switch over to Sony for their cameras. Does this potentially mean that we're going to see a firmware update on a specific camera? And the other one is going to be a photo rumor that has to do with the A7S III and whether or not it's going to get the S-Cinetone color science. Stay tuned. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's that one camera guy. I'm back again with the photo/news rumor video. My throat's a little parched, so I apologize. The excitement won't really be there as much, but we're going to go over these two topics today. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, as far as the AP rumor, the Associated Press, they're moving all their gear over to using Sony. I'm going to kind of summarize the basic gist of it because there's some points I want to make. So, big picture here. The whole silent shutter, the 4K, the nice video features have all really compelled like this news agency to want to switch over. I don't know about you, but when the A9 came out in 2017 with the 20 FPS silent shutter, I thought, it'd be really a smart idea that photojournalists maybe convert to something like this, because I would see press conferences and you would just hear the shutter of these DSLRs like go all over the place. And there's times when you can't even hear people talking because the shutters were so loud. But anyway, point being, Associated Press is making that migration, and there were some points in this interview they had with the director of photography, David. I can't really say his last name, so I'm not going to try. And anyway, they've been looking at making this migration over to Sony for the last couple of years. They said they've been testing out the equipment in really challenging environments, and it's done really well. I mean, for me, it's been, for the most part, in tough environments, it's been pretty good. I mean, the Sony gear's held up for the most part. They also asked, like, has the Associated Press use mixed equipment? I guess the point they're asking is that were they using Canon and Nikon and a variety of lenses, and I guess yes is the case. But the reason why they're making that switch is because they want to just be able to use one ecosystem for both their photo cameras and also their dedicated cinema video cameras. Because it looks like they're gonna outfit their photographers with A9 Mark IIs and some of their videographers with a mix, either with just the A7R4 or an A9 as well, an A9 Mark II, and about 4 or 5 lenses in their arsenal of equipment and gear. What's also interesting too is that they noted that they were looking at 6 different cinema-based Sony cameras as well, beyond the A7 and A9 options. So I thought that was very interesting. Now, I want to jump over to a post made by Andrew Reed on EOS HD. I thought this was something I was actually thinking about myself, but it seems as if they're going to be mixing video cameras, or even like their A9 and A7R4. One fault of the A9 series, it just doesn't have any picture profiles. The idea being, oh, sports photographers don't really need the picture profiles. That was the main argument. And they also said they couldn't do it in the camera, but hold and behold, the A9 Mark II never got picture profiles. So Andrew Reed from EOS HD and also myself, I was thinking too, why not put picture profiles, at least in the A9 Mark II? I would like it in the A9 Mark I, but if they could, so that you could match the look of your footage with like the A7 or 4. So my next question in all of this is that, does it really make sense for these photojournalists to get the picture profiles on the A9 Mark II? Would it even matter? And this is where I would like your opinion on this, right? Because I thought about it from the perspective of, if I'm out in the field, I'm doing photojournalistic work, do I really have time to fiddle with, maybe I need the video, a particular color or something like that? Like, would it really matter? Because if you're recording like a news event that's going on, and then you just gotta get that footage to somebody, like, it's just gotta go up online or whatever format or location it's gonna go, I don't think it's gonna matter. The video needs to be, ready to go. So that's the way I saw it, and I think that's maybe the logic of why they won't put the picture profiles. But let me know what you personally, think about it, or does it even matter? That's the way I look at it, because they have their dedicated cinema cameras, it seems they're going to get. So maybe in those formats, yes, there will be consistency with their video, because it looks like they're going to get actually dedicated cinema cameras in certain cases. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about this new rumor that's coming around with the S-Cinetone color science. I don't think it's like necessarily new, but it's come from Sony Alpha Rumors, obviously. The person saying the A7S III will have the S-Cinetone color science. The sensor will be an XMOS or CMOS sensor. There was some weird add-on about the Ad Movie Edit add-on compatibility for image stabilization in post. I don't know anybody that used that feature. I mean, if you have any of those cameras, they're saying the RX0 Mark II, the RX100 Mark 7, and the ZV-1. I mean, I never had the RX. I only use the RX0 Mark II, but I've never used that app at all. So let me know if you ever used it and if it did work out for you. But they're saying they're just doing that to try and keep up with Canon's IBIS. Some other thoughts down here is they're saying that they're trying to match the specs to the FX9, but with a 12 megapixel sensor. Yada yada yada. You kind of know 4K 60, 10-bit internal, 600 megabits, etc. Here are my thoughts on this. Okay, I think Sony needs to meet. They need to get that color science in there. I think it's really important. They need the bit rate. Let's just jump over to the FX9 really quick and show you kind of what they're offering in terms of video capabilities. So if you look over here for the FX9, they're offering a variety of flavors, right? You got XAVC-I for interframe, 10-bit 422. You got XAVC-L for 10-bit 422. Just know that I's interframe, higher bit rate, renders out the frame. Long op is the L option is less information, but they need to offer this. I think the A7S III needs to at least be offering this. Like, they need that. They need to be able to offer that in camera. And if the CF Express type thing is the route they're going with the cards, then Sony, that's your goal, right? The color science is also in addition to that, being able to get that data and output, because I don't think the RAW is going to happen. Okay, I don't think that's going to happen at all. But if you can get the color science, the high bit rate options, the 422 10-bit internal 4K 60p, I think that will be enough to keep everybody, for the most part, pretty happy, and the lack of overheating. But I get this weird vibe, folks, and again, this is just me just talking out of thin air, okay? This is just me talking out of thin air, because what else are we doing at this moment? Because we're going to find out about the camera in a few days anyway. But hear me out, I guess, and let me know your thoughts too, because I was thinking about this. What do you do if you're Sony? Canon announces the EOS R5 and the potential for the 8K video in April. So you're Sony, and you hear about this, what do, right? You've had 5 years to work on this A7S III camera. You've told people you're going to try and exceed their expectations. And then you have Canon comes in here and just just hits Sony really hard on the video features. And Canon makes the 8K like their big deal. Like it's a big deal for that camera. Even like the 4K 120 FPS. I did not see that ever coming through Canon. I know some of you are still going to say, but the video is going to overheat. Yes, I get it. But like I said, people are going to find a way to cool the camera down, and it's going to be usable. Okay, it's just going to happen. That 8K, the 4K 120, those are big deals, and people are going to take advantage of it. All right, hands down. The excitement is there for that camera. The hype is out there for that camera. It is real. So you see all this now, and you see the price point, and you're Sony. What are you supposed to do to respond? Like, if the camera already had 12 megapixels as their sensor, then we're stuck at 4K. We're not going to 6K. We're not going to 8K. It's not going to happen, right? It's just not going to happen. So I was thinking there's 3 scenarios that might happen for Sony for this announcement, okay, based on what our expectations are. And everybody has different expectations. 1, 2, and 3. So the first scenario is the worst case output. We go into the announcement. They say, all right, folks, here we are. 12 megapixel sensor, 4K 60. They're still using UHS 2 cards. Maybe better high ISO performance and updated autofocusing system, and that's pretty much it. Okay, that's scenario 1. That's like the worst case scenario out of the bunch. So they do get 4K 60p, but they just keep it at 10-bit. They keep it at 8-bit 420. That's the worst case scenario. If Sony came in swinging like that, Sony lost obviously this round. It goes to Canon. Scenario 2 is kind of the middle ground, we get what we're seeing here. 4K 60p, 10-bit 422, 600 megabits per second. And you get the Sony Venice, or well, it's coming from the Sony Venice, but the S-Cinetone color science in the camera with the unlimited recording at 4K 60p and all the different flavors of the different options that are available. Whether they add the full HD 180, similar to the FX9, and maybe some improved autofocusing functionalities in the camera, that's going to be all great. That's scenario number 2. That scenario would be more like, that scenario, we come out of it, if that was what the announcement is, we're like, okay, well, we kind of expected it, and then now we're kind of on the fence on the pricing. If pricing comes out $29999, under 3K, people will be like, all right, well, maybe we'll get the camera, maybe we won't. Maybe we'll look at Canon, right? That's kind of where that number 2 option is. Number 3 is Sony pulling a Canon. So obviously Canon already dealt their cards. If Sony came in ready for this, right? If Sony already came in ready for what was going to happen, knowing this, because I would imagine that internally stuff gets probably shared around, right? It's impossible that you don't necessarily know everything, that you might have a hint of what someone's doing, that Sony's like, okay, we need to go back to the drawing board and do something. Now, some of you have mentioned that you wouldn't want this camera competing with their cinema line, but the cinema cameras, remember, they're specialized, right? They have a specific purpose, and then the smaller cameras can have a specific purpose, and it's up to the user to retrofit the camera into however they want to use it. But here's scenario 3. They come out with a 24 megapixel sensor, 6K video at up to 30p. Or you know what I think? They come out with 6K at 60p. They come out with 4K, 120 frames per second. High bit rate, 10-bit 422, XAVC-I interframe. They have the CF Express Type A option. They have the Sony S-Cinetone, those colors, the color science, all that stuff in the camera. No overheating. And they knock it out of the park. Right? They had the updated autofocusing system, all that good stuff. 6K, 60 FPS, 4K, 120 FPS, high bit rate, 10-bit 422. We're not going to get RAW, but this will do just fine. I don't think it's the end of the world if there's no RAW video, but as long as they get everything else and they nail all that, I think they got, that's scenario 3 in my mind. Okay, that's scenario 3. But I'll be honest with you folks, I'm seeing scenario 1 and 2 blend. That's what I'm seeing. Scenario 1 and 2 being sort of the bridge between what we're going to see. And maybe a sprinkle. Maybe a sprinkle. Let me know what you think down below. I know it's kind of getting dark in terms of what you might be thinking. But again, we'll find out on Tuesday here where I'm at, what's going to happen. And we'll all find out together, I guess, for the most part. But I really do hope Sony pulls a scenario 3 and just wows everybody. All right, that's going to do it for me, guys. I appreciate you guys joining me on this video again. I was a bit long-winded. Don't forget to like, subscribe, check out my other content, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.